Hello, this is part 2 of a series where I'm fixing up my 1946 Chevy dump truck's engine. Today we're going to start with the lower part of the engine. If you haven't seen the first part, please look at the description and try to find it. So let's go ahead and start taking the bottom part of the engine off and see what we find. Now that I've let the oil down, it's about time to take those little screws out and get the pan off to clean it out from the inside. Got all the bolts out. So the pan is separated, ready to take it off. Unfortunately, it doesn't really want to come out because this flywheel cover is preventing it from sliding out. So I'm gonna have to take these 4 bolts and take this cover off as well. As soon as I took those 2 screws out, the whole thing fall down perfect. So now it looks like I can just pull it off, and this thing needed a little cleaning as well. There's the flywheel up there. If I can ever go up there, yeah, right there, there's the flywheel and the clutch assembly. Yeah, I don't know when this one was taken off, but looks like it needs some cleaning. So as this lower pan, just a little bit muddy down there, just where the microphone sucks the oil up from this pan. So I guess it was a good idea to pull it off and clean it off so it wouldn't be so muddy. You can see how muddy the oil pan is from here. Now the sun is actually illuminating it. And I make it drip into this pan here, and then I clean off the rest. I got the head back. Fortunately, it was not cracked, it was just warped. So they did a nice valve job on it and resurfaced the bottom part of the cylinder head. So it's ready to go back. I gotta find some good paint for it. I'm still kind of researching what color should I paint it to. And then I'm gonna pull this whole thing out. There's no no lower pan and no cylinder head on it, but I think I'm gonna put it in reverse, and it's just gonna use the starter and make it come out because it's really heavy to push. And I'm gonna wash those parts off with that pressure washer. Fortunately, I was able to find one of these lifters, and then the lower pan gasket for it. Nicely pulled itself out, but I still have some antifreeze in it, so I was trying to open up the little drain plug right here, but it's nothing coming out, so I guess I need to unscrew it and then try it there. But I'm gonna wash it out anyway. I'm gonna wash this whole part out. Unfortunately, this is full of sludge, so I'm gonna have to go in with my tool and loosen it up a little bit. I found this handy little tool in England. The way it works is that the garden hose comes in here, it connects there, and then there's a lever where I can close the water, and then the high pressure air comes in here, and it practically makes sort of like a soda water, and I'm able to put it wherever it goes to, like in these little holes, and I'm gonna able to bubble up the water really nicely, and then it will actually brings out all the sludge from the system. I could do that on the radiator too. I'm gonna probably remove the bottom radiator hose and wash that out as well. Before I start doing anything, I made a little cap for the distributor and clogged up the vacuum and the fuel pump. I guess I had to do this for a while, but now it looks like clean water is coming out from there. So I guess all the deposits are out from the engine, and I did the same thing for the radiator too, from the bottom up. But by the way, you can look at this. Ooh, yeah. If I can move it up a little. So it's pretty cool. I love this tool. Very nice. It's good for watering grass too. Wow, that was hard. I'm full of greasy water, and the engine already started to rust up, so I better start putting it in and blow everything out and coat everything with oil. But I got most of the I guess all of the things I wanted to wash, and I can continue preparing them inside. They are sun tanning over here. Yeah, I'm gonna have some wire brush and other things still, but I need to get on these. Before I'm gonna drag it back into the garage, I put a bunch of Marvel Mystery Oil in it after I was blowing it out with compressed air. I paid particular attention to blow out the holes for the head bolts, and I cleaned it out with paper towel many times, and then I put some Marvel Mystery Oil in it to make sure it's not going to rust away. So by the time I get in, this piston is going to move up and down, and instead of the water, there's going to be some oil in it. Well, what could go wrong? Let's get in and try it. we're here. Yeah, I'm very pleased with it. It's got a little oil on the cylinder walls. I'm still gonna treat it with a little bit of paper towel and clean it up a little, and then should start working on the other parts and start getting it back together. The old girl's still leaking a little water in it, probably from the radiator, but that's all right. I just let it drip out and then we'll continue on. But primer and a paint, because I could not find the engine paint in this color what I want to paint it to. So here's the valve cover. I'm gonna go through with a wire brush, and then here's the side panel. It looks like it used to be chromed. I can't believe it. And then also the lower pan. When I was washing it, it just started to come out, and look, it was chromed. It's just very interesting to me. So I'm gonna clean the parts a little further, and then yeah, so is this one. That was chrome too. So I'm gonna start cleaning that up and then spray it with these things. The engine is already done. I cleaned it up a little bit and then covered some pieces up, and I'm still gonna clean this surface, so it doesn't matter that it's oversprayed at the moment. And then yeah, I'm gonna clean this surface and clean it all up, and then take all these individual lifters out, and I'm gonna clean all of them up as well. Make sure they go back to the same place where they were before. And this side is a little grayish too, so as the cylinder head. I still got a little bit of cleaning to do on this one at the very bottom before I put it on. Yeah, just before I clean it off, I show it to you. I used that Dawn dishwashing soap and one of these sponges, and I washed it all over and washed off all the dust, the rust dust, what I just got off with the wire brush. And then I never seen a valve cover inside what actually started rusting, so I don't know if there's not enough pressure for that rack to oil it all up, but nonetheless I'm gonna use some rust treatment inside here. And I don't really like to paint anything inside the engine, but that paint not gonna chip. It's not actual paint, that's the rust dissolvent, and puts a little protective layer on it. Once I painted the outside, I'm probably gonna do that, maybe even before. So now I'm just gonna wash it off, and then I can start painting it. I was able to finish putting the primer on, but it started to rain, so that's it for probably today of painting. We'll continue tomorrow with that, but until then I have several other things I can do with the engine. I was able to paint all these parts, and I think they looking fine for what they're gonna go on, with an appropriate amount of dog hair on them. And then next thing I'm gonna do is work on this thermostat housing. I think I'm gonna take it apart first, and I'm gonna take this broken bolt out of it, because that's where the fuel line is running, and this is where it should be held in position. Then I'm gonna clean off this breather hose, and I think this one gonna be black. This is a breather tube on the side of the engine, and on the top, that's where you put the oil in. And there's a lid on top of that, which I wanna paint. And I already cleaned it, that's how it looks like. The only problem is that I wanna paint it yellow. So painting yellow is impossible unless you put actually white primer or something white under it. So first I'm gonna paint it white, and then I'm gonna spray the yellow on it. I got a light layer of white primer on it, and the next one could be the yellow. While I'm waiting for the primer to dry, I cleaned it more, and then I put one coat of black on this. It's a very light coat, just the first one, and then once it cured or dried a little bit, then the next coat can come on it. So just to be honest with you, I would not call this one a restoration at all. If it would be a restoration, this piece would have been hot tanked. Maybe sandblasted, maybe not, probably just a chemical thing. What I would do with it to get all the paint off of it, and then I would use a 2-component paint with a spray gun to spray this piece. But since it's a farm machinery, I just don't care. But I wanted to show you the spray paint. Most of the spray painters have a little piece up there where the spray nozzle comes out, and that yellow piece, you can actually twist it, and as you twist it, the spray will come out either this way or that way as you twist it, or any other position. So basically you can adjust it just like on a paint gun, the nozzle. It's a very interesting feature. But now the yellow piece is done. I think it's gonna look great on the black pipe and the gray surroundings. So the lid where I put the oil in, I think it's already gonna be dry soon. The other thing I want to talk about with these spray cans, if you're done using it, turn it upside down and do not move it. Just turn it upside down and spray it until there's nothing coming out, basically no paint coming out. And then you can just use a paper towel or something and clean the nozzle. And that way, next time you're trying to use it, it's gonna be perfect again. So you still have some in it. I did just that, and that's how I'm gonna store it. I cleaned off the surface using this blade. There's a razor blade on the end, and just went across and just cleaned it all up. So now I'm gonna wire brush it a little bit. But the biggest danger is this. Look inside this hole. There is some oil in it. The oil what I used to lubricate it, and it looks like it didn't get rusted at all, so it worked really well. But the oil can split the casting if you put the head bolt in it like this. So I'm gonna have to get the compressor and blow it out, make sure it's all clean before I start putting the cylinder head on. I've cleaned up all the holes. Now they're all clean. I cleaned the top with the wire brush, and then I cleaned it with a rag and all these things. So I think now it's about ready to put the head on. So here's the trick. Before you do that, I always do this. Make sure there's nothing left on it. There's no little specks or nothing, no grains or nothing left on it. So now I think it's all clean. I'm gonna do the same thing with the cylinder head, and we can start putting the head on. I wanted to show you how it looks like before I put it on. You got these ginormous valves in it, and it's not totally clean, but you got to be very careful how much you take off of a cylinder head, because you can change the compression ratio, and you do not want to take more than what you absolutely have to. So I think even with these misperfections, it's going to be just fine. Man, it's a heavy bugger. So best way to do this is to one person stand inside the engine bay on that side, and then from the top, that one person can adjust it, the other one will adjust the head gasket, and it will happen slowly but surely. Now this wasn't an easy thing to do. So first I put the head on with the gasket, and then now I lifted it up here and here, and then while it was lifted up and the head gasket was able to move left and right, my daughter actually put the bolts in, just barely, and then all the bolts are in. And then we actually adjusted on the head gasket to push this in here and push this on there to make sure it's flushed. And the whole thing is just where it's supposed to be, so I'm happy with it. Now we're gonna tie it down. Here's the tie down sequence if you're interested, and the early engines. It's like 75 to 80 foot-pounds. So next thing I'm gonna do is put these bolts a little bit more in, and then I'm gonna tie it down or torque it. One thing I forgot is that I need to lubricate the threads on these bolts. So I'm just putting just a bare little bit of Marvel Mystery oil on them, and then I will give enough lubrication for the threads. So when I tighten it down, it will be precise. Usually, what I do is at first I'm gonna tie these bolts just barely, based on the sequence. Just okay, now it's good. That's it. And then I'm gonna get the torque wrench, and I'm gonna set it to half the maximum, so half the 80. That would be 40 foot-pound. And then I would go around in sequence, and then lastly I'm gonna retie them to the torque specification. So it's gonna be very nice and even when it goes down. So here's that torque wrench. It's actually got a click out of it when it gets to the proper torque. And here are the stuff what we can set up on it. And you basically just gotta twist it until this matches up with whatever torque you want. So I'm gonna set to 40 foot-pounds, and then we're gonna start torquing. I'm gonna try to hold the mic closer to this thing so you can hear it clicking. So I'm pulling it. Still need to go more. There it is. Do you hear it click? That's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. Now this one is tight. Now that I went through all the bolts, I usually go back to the number 1 bolt, and you can see this chart. Make sure you're looking at the right way. At first I looked at it upside down, but I cut it in time. Put a big arrow there to make sure I see which way is front or forward. So once I done with the last sequence and I torqued it down everywhere the way I want it to, now I go back to the number 1 bolt and I do a test, and I'm gonna see if the number 1 bolt got loose or not. But it clicks very nicely. It's not loose. It's perfect. that tells me that it's all good. On some newer cars, sometimes you need to change the bolts if they're really long and narrow, like on Audis and Volkswagens, and otherwise you're gonna basically break the bolt, because the bolt actually expands, and it's not gonna be a good day. So these ones are good old engines. You don't need to do that. They actually planned on you taking this head off quite frequently. That's why they put the water pump like the way it is, so you don't have to take that off when you take the head off. So nonetheless, it's all torqued, and I can continue with my journey. The other thing I forgot to tell you is that when you use one of these torque wrenches, before you put it away, you need to release it. You need to turn it all the way back, so it releases the tension, and that's how you're supposed to store it. Otherwise the torque wrench will go bad. Now that I'm all done with the head bolts, now I can start looking at these lifters, and one by one I'm gonna clean them out. So I'm gonna pull it out, clean it out, put it back, and then I want to clean off the mating surfaces, like this part where the cover will go on. There are some imperfection what I missed. I'm gonna go through with a razor blade to scrape it off and make sure it's a nice surface ready for installation. Once I clean the lifter, I put a little bit of assembly lube on it from here, and this will help me to lubricate the parts when the engine starts running. I'm gonna put some over here on it, and more specifically I'm gonna put some over here, and basically every moving surface in the car what I can reach and I have to take apart clean, I will use this assembly lube to lube it up, so when the engine starts it will not get damaged until the oil pressure arrives. I just turned 50 this year, and I still make mistakes, but this is why I like this hobby, because I always can learn something new and learn from my mistakes. So here's what I did wrong. I show you what I found. So I cleaned all the lifters all the way to the last one, and when the last one broke, so I bought a new one. And when I was doing the new one, I was looking at the top part, and the oil went right in. There's a hole in it, a very large hole, and that very large hole is actually connected to the oil part of it. So the oil actually comes up here and lubricates the push rod, and none of the other lifters have that same way. Look, the oil is stopped on the top, so that hole is clogged. I need to take all of them out. I need to clean that hole so the push rods will get lubricated. Well, it very much looks like it's going to remain an open question. The rest of them have a little plug in it, and they have a metered pinhole in it, just like in a carburetor, and they don't let all the oil through, just a little bit, so it's basically sipping through. But this one has a big one, and the little metering hole is missing because it's unmetered. It's like a really big hole there. But this is what I bought, and it says made in USA. Maybe that's the problem. If it's not Chinese, it's not original. So if any of you know what the answer here is, please send me a message. And meanwhile, I'm gonna try to locate an original lifter, a used one. Maybe that will work better. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next Friday when I'm gonna continue work on this old 216 Chevy engine. Bye.